Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. We are here live to bring you the best education in retirement, and we are so grateful that you're joining us today. And as you can see, I do not have Dave with me. I have another guest with me, and we did tease about this last week. And again, Dave will not be joining us actually for the next 2 weeks. And we wanted to bring other experts in this retirement space to talk to you. And today I have a very special treat for you. I have Jim Blair from Premier Social Security Consulting. Jim, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks. Great to be here. Always happy to talk about Social Security.
We love having guests on the show, especially on our live format. It's one of my very favorite formats because we just get to come on here and be real, be authentic, and talk about particular topics in retirement. So let me ask you, what drives you about Social Security?
Well, I did it for a number of years. I worked there for 35 years and did a number of jobs while I was there, included taking claims from folks for retirement, survivors, disability, and health insurance. Saw how important it was to them. It's also important that they receive their benefits correctly and everything that they're due. So it's just so important in people's lives once they either retire or somebody becomes disabled, a family member passes away, all sorts of factors in people's lives we have to look at, but it's real important for those once you get to the point where you need it.
And Jim, have you ever been on a live show like this before?
A few times.
Good. Well, I love it because these are just such a great way to consume information, especially as we talk about particular topics in retirement. And before we get started into our Q&A segment of the show, let me introduce Jim here, who's just introduced himself a little bit. So Jim is a former Social Security administrator and has over 35 years experience in this space. He's been helping individuals manage their Social Security benefits, taking claims for retirement, survivors, disability, health insurance, and much more. He has served on the operations supervisor, as a district manager in the Social Security office, and I believe that's in Ohio, but that's not where you are today, right, Jim?
Right. I live in Cincinnati, but right now I'm in Tennessee, a nice little town called New Tazewell. But most people who might know would know Norris Lake.
Yep, a great fishing spot there, and I used to live in Knoxville. Dave lives just outside of Memphis, so we're both really excited for you, Jim, because that is a great state.
Oh, it is. We love it down here. I've been coming down here for over 20 years now.
Well, if you are new to our show, welcome. And if you are regular, welcome back. And we look forward to your questions today. And again, our show is live. It's created to help answer your retirement questions. So the way it works is we take all of the questions that have come in from each of you on our website, social media, and from other webinars. And our team puts all of these questions together on each of these live shows. And today we are talking specifically about Social Security. And we encourage you, if you have Social Security questions, to get those submitted. If you are here live on Facebook or YouTube, to go ahead and get those in. And we will do our best to squeeze those in with all the questions we have. Now, with that, Jim, are you ready to get started with some of our questions today?
Oh, let's go. I'm ready.
Okay, let's get my first question here from Kevin. Kevin is age 60, and he's asking, what is full retirement age?
Yeah, full retirement age will vary for folks. It depends on when you're born. It's going to be somewhere right now between 66 and 67. For Kevin, it's going to be 67 if he's age 60. People turning 62 this year in 2022, their full retirement age is 67, and that's where it's capped out at. Full retirement age is an important uh, point to remember. That's when you receive 100% of your benefit. If you take your benefit before your full retirement age, it's reduced. It's reduced by the number of months that you take it early. Flip that around. If you wait past full retirement age, you'll receive an increase. A lot of people hear about an 8% a year increase. For every year you delay past full retirement age up to age 70, you get an 8% a year increase. So it's an important date to know, and it's going to affect people depending on your year of birth. So if you were born in 1954 or before, your full retirement age is 66. 1960 or later, at 67. And then those folks 55 to 59, it's going to be somewhere between 66 and 67.
And Jim, you brought up an important part that you talked about if we claim benefits before full retirement age, that will lower our monthly payments. And you also said if we take those past full retirement age, talk about the difference of why that's an important number to kind of look at.
Well, it's the base of what your benefit is going to be. And so at full retirement age, if your benefit is, say, $2,000, if you file at 62, you're going to see a reduction. And it depends on full retirement age of 66 to 67. It could be anywhere from a 25 to a 30% reduction. So if your full retirement age is 62, you file now for your Social Security. I mean, your full retirement age is 67, and you file now at 62. That's a 30% reduction. So you get somewhere $1,450, say, a month instead of 2,000. Yeah, you get the money early, but you do see a reduction, and that is permanent. Likewise, if you wait till age 70, that full retirement age is going to be increased 24%. So that's uh, another $440 added to your benefit. You get $2,440. What's the bad news there? Well, the difference between 62 and 70 is 8 years. You have to wait 8 years to collect before you would receive anything. But still, with people living longer, most folks are still going to receive more money by waiting till 70. Now, I'm not saying everybody should wait till 70, but even if you wait till full retirement age, your break even point, meaning that you're going to receive the same amount of money from Social Security, whether you start at 62 or wait till full retirement age, is between 78 and 79. Average survival rate for a male in the 60s is about 84, and a female about age 87. It also makes a difference in survivor benefits because if you take your benefit at 62 and take a reduction, if you pass away and your spouse steps into your shoes to receive a widow's or widower's benefit, their benefit is also reduced. On the other hand, if you waited till 70, it increases the survivor benefit. And that's the one thing a lot of folks forget about and don't take into consideration is that survivor benefit. How important is that in their planning? And if it's real important, then the longer you wait, the better.
I love you bring that up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in our questions here. Jim, one question I wanted to ask is any advantage going past age 70 to claim your benefits?
None at all. You receive no increase. And if you wait more than 6 months past age 70, you'll end up losing money because Social Security will give you 6 months of retroactive benefits once you're past full retirement age. So if someone filed at 70 and a half, they could still begin their benefits at age 70. But if they waited, say, till age 71, Social Security will still only go back 6 months. They lost 6 months worth of benefits, and it didn't advantage them at all. It didn't increase it by even one penny. So you just lose money by waiting past age 70.
And I was going to ask on the other side, if you see people that are claiming benefits early, do you see why they're claiming benefits early versus saying, "Hey, I wanted to wait, but I just couldn't because of circumstances"? Is there anything you see that you see a repetitive portion of this happening?
Usually it's because people have stopped work for whatever reason. Maybe they retired because they wanted to, but maybe they lost their job. And the way the economy is, sometimes we get in those situations where it's not so good, and people thought they were going to work for a while, but now they've been laid off. The good news is the worst decision you can make about taking your Social Security benefit isn't terrible. It's still a lifetime benefit. You're going to receive it the rest of your life. And so it's there for you if you need it. You shouldn't necessarily spend all of your savings just to get a higher Social Security benefit. So there's some good reasons for taking it at 62. One other good reason, if you have a couple that has a difference in their ages, say 5 years or more, the younger individual usually should go ahead and file earlier because odds are normally they're the lower earner and they're going to step into the shoes as a surviving spouse sooner rather than later, probably before they'd reach that break even point. So there are some good reasons to take benefits at before your full retirement age.
Definitely appreciate that one, Jim. Let's jump down to my next question here from Linda. How can I apply for Social Security benefits?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. The one that I like is applying online. You can go onto the Social Security website and just complete your application. Now, there's a couple you can't file online. If you're filing for children's benefits or widows or widowers benefits, that still has to be done with the Social Security office. But retirement, disability, and spousal benefits all can be filed online. To do that, though, you have to go to the Social Security website, and the official website is ssa.gov.gov, and you create an online account. You should do that anyway. Everybody should create this account. It's so important. That way you can look at your benefit statements, but there's other things you can do, including filing online. If you don't want to go that way, you prefer dealing with the people at the Social Security office, you can just walk in. The offices are open again. The problem with that is you take a number, and depends on how many people got there in front of you is how long you're going to wait. You can also call their national 800 number and make an appointment to either go into the office with an appointment. That way you don't have to wait, or you can have them call you and do it over the phone. So online, in person, or call the 800 number and make an appointment. Those are the ways you apply for benefits.
Jim, I was going to ask you, as a former Social Security administrator, what mistakes did you see people make when trying to apply for Social Security?
Probably the biggest mistake they make is waiting too long to file. If you are under your full retirement age, you cannot begin benefits any earlier than the month you file your application. So a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this myself, I put stuff off. And then the next thing you know, a month or two's gone by and you say, oh, I better get this taken care of. Well, now you've lost a month or two's worth of benefits. Um, the other is if they're under full retirement age, not understanding if they go back to work and they're drawing their Social Security benefits, you earn too much money. Social Security is going to start holding back some of your money. Well, if they don't know about that in advance, you may end up with a nice little overpayment notice in the mail. Nobody likes getting notices from the government that says, "Hey, you owe us some money, so write us a check, please." Uh, and that's a big one too, is not understanding the effect of your work on your Social Security benefit if you're under full retirement age.
Okay. And I'm just going to pop in a note here from Elliot. He's joining us live from YouTube. And if you were here with us last week, Elliot was in Israel last week, and it looks like he's back stateside. So welcome. And we're glad to have you, Elliot, on the show with us live here.
Ah,
All right, Jim, let's get back to our questions here. Let me jump to my next one here. Let's see. Sue is 65 and she's asking, how are my benefits calculated?
I get this question all the time. It's based on your highest 35 years of earnings. A lot of people think it's your last 5 or 10 years or your highest 5 or 10 years. Nope, they use 35 years of earnings. You only need 10 years of work to be eligible for Social Security, but they still use 35 years in the calculation. So if you didn't work 35 years, you'll have 0 years used in the computation of your benefit. Now, without getting too much into the weeds and putting everybody to sleep with how the benefits are calculated, they do take your prior year earnings all for every year you had wages up through the year you turned 59, and they do apply an inflation factor to those years. So you can't necessarily look at your Social Security benefit statement and pick out your high 35 years. You want to make sure what's on there is correct, but they will apply the inflation factor. Then starting with the year you turn 60, they're still included, but they just use the actual years. Another thing about the calculation, it's a rolling calculation. If you begin your benefits, but you still continue to work, each year Social Security will go back and look and see, okay, last year were those earnings higher than the lowest year we used in the calculation? And if it was, they'll do a new calculation and you'll see a little bit of an increase.
So you're saying that the Social Security will push aside maybe the lower earning years so that your average monthly earning figures will go up.
Yes.
Okay. That's great to know. And then again, you said that if you worked fewer than 35 years, what happens to those credits?
Well, they use zeros in the calculation. There's 420 months in 35 years. So they'll add your high 35 years together and divide that by 420 to come up with your average monthly wage. And you receive a portion of that. Well, if you only work 25 years, 10 of those years in the 35-year calculation will be zeros. That tends to lower the average.
So, what happens if you have a spouse that does not have enough credits to qualify for Social Security on their own?
A spouse can be eligible off of their spouse's work record. So if you never worked, or if you had some work but you don't have much of a work history, and you may be even eligible for a little bit on your own, you can draw up to 50% of your spouse's full retirement age benefit amount. So if your spouse is eligible for 2,000 a month at their full retirement age, at your full retirement age, you could draw $1,000. You can file for those benefits as early as age 62. They're going to be reduced somewhere between 30 to 35%, depending on your full retirement age. But benefits are payable. Good
That's
news, doesn't affect your spouse's benefit at all.
That's I was going to ask that next. So thank you. You're reading all my notes here. I love it. All right. Well, let's get to my next question here. This is from Augustus, and Augustus is asking, "Can I work and still receive Social Security?"
Yeah, well, I talked a little bit about that, but I'll go in a little more detail. First of all, if you're full retirement age or older, then working does not affect your Social Security. So, yes, you can still work. No matter how much you earn, you can still receive your full Social Security benefit. If you are under your full retirement age, if you earn over a certain amount, now this year that's $19,560. So if you earn over 19,560, Social Security is going to hold back $1 of your benefits for every $2 you go over. That means that say if you earn $29,560, you went over $10,000, Social Security is going to hold back $5,000 worth of your benefits. If you get $2,000 a month, that's 2.5 months worth of benefits you're not going to receive because of your earnings. But that only applies to folks under full retirement.
Okay. So I read this once, and I can't remember where I read it, but they said if you lose your Social Security benefits because you're working, they're really not lost, but they're rather, I think they said they were suspended. And what does that really mean?
Well, what happens when you file for benefits before full retirement age, the number of months you start the benefits determines the amount of reduction of your benefit. So I'll just give you an example. If your full retirement age is 66 and you retire at 62, it's a 25% reduction. If you take benefits at 62, but because of your wages, they hold back 6 checks a year. When you reach full retirement age, they will recalculate your benefit. And they'll say, when you originally applied, we reduced your benefit by 48 months. You started benefits 48 months before your full retirement age, but you only received 24 checks. So we'll change that reduction factor from 48 to 24. Now, instead of your benefit being reduced 25%, it's reduced about 12.5%. So you see an increase in your monthly benefit amount. And that means over time, then you get that money back. They don't
Okay.
give it to you in a lump sum. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But over time you do get it back, and it does permanently increase your benefit.
Okay. Well, that's great to know. I'm glad you cleared that up for me. Let me get to my next one here from Kathy. Kathy's asking, how do spousal benefits work that we briefly touched on earlier?
Yeah, a spouse can draw off of their spouse's work record. What they're going to do is look at the higher earners' full retirement age benefit, and we're going to divide that in half. And if their spouse's full retirement age benefit is less than half of the higher earners, then they can receive a spousal benefit. So we'll go back to our example. At full retirement age, you're eligible for $1,000. We are $2,000, and we already said that your spouse who never worked at full retirement age could draw half of that or $1,000. Well, if you did have some work, maybe your full retirement age benefit is $750. What Social Security would do would pay you your 750 on your own, 250 from your spouse to still bring you to that $1,000. If your own benefit was over $1,000, you wouldn't draw any spousal benefit. So it's all based on the higher earners full retirement age benefit divided in half, less the lower earners full retirement age benefit, and that'll determine if a spousal benefit is payable.
And Jim, let's talk about who's eligible for this. I mean, because we could dive into married, divorced, formerly married, widowed. Who's eligible?
Oh goodness, there's a lot of folks eligible. First of all, you have to be married to someone for 12 months or more, and you have to be age 62 or older to draw the spousal benefit. So if you have that 12 months of marriage, and a lot of people confuse that with the uh, with the divorced spouse. 12 months of marriage or a year, you can draw off of your spouse. The key is they have to be receiving before you can draw off of their work record.
Hmm.
Divorced spouses, there's a couple of categories of divorced spouses. First of all, you have to be single. You can't be married and draw off of your ex. You have to be age 62. You had to be married to your ex spouse for 10 years or more, and your ex has to be receiving their benefit. In that case, you could potentially be eligible for a divorced spouse benefit. Now, I did mention there was a second category. Some of the requirements are the same. You still have to be single, still had to be married to your ex for 10 years or more. But now, if both you and your spouse are 62 or older, and you've been divorced for 2 years or longer, it does away with the requirement that your ex file for benefits themselves. You can still draw off of their work record. And we've had the question, how many divorced spouses could draw off of your work record? The answer is, how many 10-year marriages can you squeeze into your lifetime? So if you have three ex-spouses, they could all be drawing off of your work record. Any good news there? Oh, yeah. It doesn't affect your benefit at all. And maybe more importantly, it doesn't affect your current spouse's benefit at all. Because
Wow.
imagine telling your current spouse, oh, sorry, dear, your Social Security is going to be reduced because of my ex spouse. Now you have two ex spouses. It's real important that it doesn't affect their benefit either.
And I wanted to ask you too. So, if your own work history earns a higher benefit, will you receive that amount rather than the spousal benefit?
Yes, you have to take your own first.
Okay.
It's a term called deemed filing. And what that says is when you file an application for benefits, you're filing on your own first. And then if you're eligible for a spousal benefit on top of that, you can receive it. But you always have to take your own first.
And the other one I wanted to ask is, what is the maximum amount you can receive?
Well, it depends on what
The
the
age
higher
of
earner
your
had earned.
history.
Uh, right now, we're seeing a full retirement age benefit maximum around $3,200. That means the maximum spousal benefit would be about $1,600.
Okay. Well, great. Well, let's keep moving on here, Jim. This has been wonderful. Let's see if I can get my next one to pull up here. Sometimes my mouse does not work for
Uh,
me.
yeah.
All right, this is from Lucas. If I was on disability, can I still get my full Social Security benefits?
Yeah, what happens with disability is you're paid your full benefit. They look at you when you become disabled as if you had just reached your full retirement age. So even though you're drawing benefits before full retirement age, it's not reduced like it is for retirement benefits. So if you're on disability, you're receiving 100% of your full retirement age benefit. When you reach full retirement age, your benefits are converted to retirement. You're no longer on disability. Now your payment's the same, your payday's the same. What you don't have to worry about is Social Security coming along and saying, you know what, we need to review your disability to see if you're still disabled. Or if you are able to do a little bit of work, you can go back to work and you don't have to worry about that showing up on your Social Security record. And now Social Security is going, I thought you were disabled. Maybe we better take another look at that because I see you've been working. And not to say people on disability can't work. There are provisions for that, but it does away with that. So nobody full retirement age or older is on disability. What it means is your payment, instead of coming out of the disability trust fund, comes out of the retirement trust fund. Makes no difference to the person, but you do get your full benefit.
And Jim, we do get a lot of questions on the disability. Now, what mistakes do you see that happen as people are trying to get the disability with their Social Security?
I would think that probably the biggest one is they go back to work. You know, most people think, oh, people on disability, they just want to draw money from the government. Nothing could be further from the truth. Most people on Social Security disability would much rather be back at work and have a job and be productive in that perspective. So Social Security does give people the opportunity to go back to work, but if they do, they need to make sure they inform Social Security about that. You can have a 9 month trial work period, but after those 9 months, it's definitely going to affect your benefit. It could cause your benefits to be terminated, or it could cause you to lose for different months. So probably the biggest one, people go back to work, don't tell Social Security, and now all of a sudden Social Security finds out, you they terminate your benefits, and you get a nice letter. And I've seen overpayment notices 50, 60, $70,000. And
Wow.
that's just devastating to people.
Mhm.
So it, you do you are able to try to go back to work, but make sure you keep Social Security informed of that as you go along.
You bring up a really valid point I wanted to discuss, Jim. You talk about informing Social Security. You even talk about when you are going on to SSA.gov and creating an account. It sounds like we need to put a lot of the effort on our side instead of waiting for Social Security to do anything on that side. Is that how you're kind of interpreting it?
Oh, absolutely. Social Security, they're busy. They're hardworking people. I'll say that. I'm not going to beat up on the folks I used to work with. I think it was probably the best government agency out there, but still, they don't keep track of each individual person. Keep an eye on you and see what you're doing. So you have to make sure you keep Social Security informed. Likewise, if you're due benefits, the responsibility is on the person to make sure they contact Social Security to file for those, because they just don't know what your specific situation is at all times, and it is your responsibility.
And I want to bring that up because I appreciate you saying that, is because a lot of times we always are waiting. We're waiting for them to let us know what to do. We're waiting on them to send us information. But you're saying we need to be proactive. It sounds like everything we preach in retirement is making sure we're planning ahead, making sure we do all of these things beforehand and not wait for something that we're becoming reactive to.
Yeah, that's an important word, proactive. I tell people about that all the time. You have to be proactive, because one of two things can happen. You could end up losing benefits that you'll never be able to receive, past due benefits that you may not be able to be paid, or you may end up being overpaid and you have to pay money back to the government. I want to make sure that everybody receives what they're entitled to receive, the exact amount, no more, no less, and make sure that they receive it on time. It's just real important. So being proactive is just as important as anything.
Well, Jim, I hate to say this, but we're almost out of time. So I've just have appreciated this conversation talking about Social Security. And before we end and do all of a wrap up, I wanted to just we talked about being proactive. Is there anything else you can share to make sure that as we're getting ready for retirement, as we're looking into Social Security, something that we can do today to make sure that this doesn't come as a surprise once we get to retirement?
Well, the main thing folks want to do, create that account on the Social Security website. It's called My Social Security, because they used to mail your statement out every year. They stopped doing that. It's available online. Even if you're not close to retirement yet, you want to look at it each year to make sure, are my earnings being posted correctly? It's what they're going to use to determine how much they're going to pay you. You want to make sure they're right. But it also will give you an idea of what your benefit amount's going to be, and you can see, what will I receive from Social Security? How much am I going to need in retirement? Is that enough? Normally, it isn't. For most folks, it's about 40% of their income in retirement. So it gives you an idea of what you need to do otherwise to make sure that when you do reach retirement, one, you can retire, and two, you have enough money that you're not just surviving, you live a good life in retirement. Because as Americans, we work really hard, But when we get to retirement, we want to enjoy those years and make sure that you're not just kind of getting by, and you have the income you need in retirement. So keeping a proactive stance on that, looking at that, creating that account, it's so important.
I love you said we're not just surviving. I think that's a really important key that we, like you said, follow up with being proactive. And so, Jim, I just wanted to thank you so much for joining us today. This has been such a treat to have you on our show. And I want to remind everyone, if you didn't get a chance to get your questions answered today, or you missed your chance, don't worry about it. You can still submit that at retirementriskadvisors.com/questions. And that's where you can go submit your question. It will give you the information you need, and we'll get those posted on future shows. All right, Jim. Now, how do people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about Social Security? They have questions. What can they do?
Well, if you're thinking about looking at it, you can go to our website. It's premiersocialsecurityconsulting.com. And you can see we have uh, strategy meetings with people to help them determine what their benefits are at certain points, what benefits they may be eligible for. Take a look at our website. Also, I have an email. It's jblair@mypremierplan.com. And folks can email me there, and I'll get back with them through my email. So two different ways to contact us.
All right. So, well, Jim, thank you so much. And I just want to remind everyone as we are getting ready to wrap up here, I do want to remind you. So, Jim, this is a really cool thing. So, we have our Getting Safely Through webinar that we do. It's kind of our flagship that we get everybody excited and get them introduced into retirement. So, I'm going to pop this on the screen here real quick so you can see this. And in fact, we have this today, so you do not want to miss it. This is one of our flagship presentation. It's at 3 p.m. Central. But the cool thing about this, I'm going to share with everyone, is today is our 500th webinar with CPA Academy. And so you can find that over on our website at retirementriskadvisors.com/events. And you can sign up for that. Just a really cool thing to know that Dave has done 500 retirement webinars, which is fantastic. And I know, Jim, you and Mark are very keen on making sure you give everybody the right education in Social Security. And we're just really making sure we give the right education in retirement. So again, Jim, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you guys again next Wednesday. Do not forget, we'll be here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And next week, we are talking all about HSAs. So if you have questions for that, go over to our website and get that in there. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next time.